Thank you for introduction and for calling me in your for an interview. So I'm working at SECIT Security for almost a year now, and I mostly perform security assessments. Uh, let's say that I come from various background. I worked as IT auditor previously, and mostly my background is in that field. I also worked as teaching assistant on Metropolitan University on subjects computer networks and information security, as well as software developer. So I think that various background gives me opportunity and let's say a bigger picture. I can see the bigger picture and can help organizations to establish their processes in a way as it should be. Yeah, so to be honest, when I was asked to write an article for a journal, I was watching a documentary about the ransomware negotiation, and I thought it would be interesting for your readers to read about ransomware, and that inspired me to dig a little bit deeper. And my main source at the time was the Sophos report. So I took information from that report and wanted to give, as I previously said, insight to your readers about trends that are current in that area. Yeah, ransomware definitely came a long way since that first cyber extortion, let's say, attack in 1989, and that so-called AIDS attack, named after the researcher, not after the researcher, but after the area where he worked. So yeah, it definitely came a long way since then. I would say that, well, it evolved as technology evolved. Mainly, internet gave it, let's say, a big attack surface. That's for sure, because a lot of companies today rely on internet to conduct their businesses. Some companies, organizations, let's say, are basing their whole uh, companies and business on internet, and some definitely have a part of their business on internet and online. Therefore, they need to have some systems which are facing to the internet, which is definitely a big attack surface for the adversaries. So that is one of the main reasons. Another reason where, let's say, ransomware really had the opportunity to become what it is today is introduction of cryptocurrencies. Why cryptocurrencies? Because prior to cryptocurrencies, actually ransomware groups which were infecting computer networks and trying to extort money from companies were using risky, sketchy money laundering schemes, which usually involved third parties, somebody who is outside of their organization, which is risk for them. And cryptocurrencies, let's say, remove that risk because they had complete control of the money. They can have complete control. And actually, with cryptocurrencies, let's say, victims transfer money directly to the companies and not they're not using payment systems, wire transfers, which can be definitely easily tracked by law enforcement. So that cryptocurrencies are actually really really important in that area. Also, onion routing, that in onion routing, which provides anonymity for adversaries and other people who are using it. That, in combination with cryptocurrencies, definitely gave adversaries needed anonymity to attack and conduct their attacks. Further, that I would say that is more a technological aspect of ransomware and its expansion. Uh, another aspect is definitely implementation of some new encryption algorithms, especially public key cryptography. So how the first ransom worked and the one we mentioned that dates back to 1989, AIDS, so-called AIDS ransomware. So it worked like that the ransomware and first strains actually of the ransomware worked in such way that ransomware came with symmetric key. So that key was used to encrypt all the files on the system, and oftentimes actually, cybersecurity professionals were able to extract that key from the ransomware itself and then use it to decrypt the files on the system. And that was the problem, obviously, for the ransomware groups and gangs. So what they did, they actually implemented as a hybrid cryptography. And what they do now, most newer strains on ransomware use, as I said, a hybrid encryption. And what it does, it actually enables them when they deploy a ransomware, when they infect some network with ransomware, that ransomware comes with a public key, and then automatically symmetric key is generated. That symmetric key, because symmetric encryption is faster than asymmetric, it is used to encrypt all the files, and that then after it's finished with encryption of files, that symmetric key is being encrypted with a public key, which came with the ransomware itself. And then it is stored in the so-called key bag. And the adversaries have a private key, which is then used to first decrypt that symmetric key after the victim pays ransom. So it is the public key, the symmetric key which was encrypted with public key is being firstly decrypted, and after that, that symmetric key is used to decrypt all the files on the system. Yeah, so that would be the technological aspects, definitely, of the ransomware, which evolved, but they didn't evolve only in the technological sense. They also evolved in the business model sense, let's say it like that. So now you have a ransomware as a service, where you can rent or buy ransomware from, let's say, groups. And what that did, that actually really lowered that bar, which you that technological knowledge level bar. So you don't need to be evil genius to create ransomware and to deploy it. You can just from one side you can buy the ransomware, from the other side you can buy access to some network, and then you can combine that and use that access to compromise some network, and then that both ransomware to deploy it on the network and to collect ransom to extort money. Yeah. So the only answer to that question, I mean, it's simple and straightforward. It's patching. Companies, organizations should establish and implement a patch management process, which should be conducted on a regular basis. Companies should also define which systems should be patched, which are more, let's say, riskier than others, which are exposed to the internet, which are not. But as I said, it's a simple answer, but in reality, it's not that simple. Because most of the time, IT departments are understaffed. There are not enough resources for companies, especially the smaller ones, to let's say focus on system patching. What actually IT department in smaller again companies mostly does, they are just doing and maintaining, actually keeping the business running. So they don't have time to actually patch systems, and it's not up to them at that time. It's actually up to the management to recognize that and to give them enough resources, whether it's in people, or let's say they can invest in some systems that can automate that process. Sometimes it's only the, let's say, on the other hand, actually, the reason is negligence. Some people actually don't do their job. The interesting fact is that I suppose you heard that this it happened about a month or so ago. So Logbit, which is one of the most known ransomware groups, their operations were, let's say, halted. what happened. FBI and other law enforcement agencies hacked their servers, and they stopped their operations for a little bit because they're returning now stronger than ever, as they said. But the important take here is that actually FBI and those agencies were able to compromise their systems by using existing vulnerability on their systems. So it goes the both ways, let's say. But at the bottom line, definitely patch management is the only thing that can help to mitigate and actually prevent existing vulnerabilities to be exploited. Yeah, so here, when we're talking about recovery, backup is a must. Backup, and backup. So there aren't many other options if we want to recover our data. We need to establish backup of our important systems. We should determine how many data are we willing to and can maybe lose in, let's say, such attack. So also, yeah, what should we mention here is that when performing backups, actually, when we're trying to restore our data, we should try and find that point in time, conduct investigation prior to recovery, because we want to find when our network was compromised. Because if we don't do that and just return the data from, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 days prior to the ransomware deployment, we may actually perform a backup of data which contained ransomware, and then we'll just reinfect our system. So we should try and perform this investigation and see when we were actually compromised. Also, as for backup, it is also important to say that we should try and keep our backups offline, because ransomware is known for that it can also encrypt backup. So we don't have many options in that case if our backup is, let's say, encrypted. So storing it offline is definitely going to help. Okay, so when we are talking about prevention of ransomware, we are actually talking about prevention of any other malware. So a ransomware is just a malware with specific purpose. So we should try and prevent actually anything from compromising our network. One of, to be more specific, actually, one of the things we should do is patching. We already mentioned and talked about it. Other thing, if we look at techniques that adversaries are using, is definitely social engineering. So we should aim to establish a cybersecurity culture and try maybe to make our employees a little bit paranoid, not too much, but a little bit, just for them to be cautious and to be aware of the threats that are present and the way how can attackers compromise the network. So conducting security awareness trainings, maybe creating some game that will make make our employees familiar with threats, that definitely can help in establishing cybersecurity culture. Also, phishing campaigns which should be conducted on a regular basis. So when we are trying to make cybersecurity culture and that awareness, it's not just a tick box which we should check. It's something that we should work on continuously. So that is the maybe main take here. Also, if we look at some other techniques, we will see that credential stealing is also one of the, let's say, one of the top on the list. So we should also educate our employees how to handle their passwords, username, not to reuse their passwords that they use on job, to use them on, let's say, some for private purposes, for example, for Facebook, Instagram, etc. And that should be, yeah, I mean, of course, there are technical solutions that we can implement: IPS, IDS systems. IDS more for detection, but IPS for prevention. XDR, MDR, EDR. These are all the tools we can implement. We should also regularly conduct threat hunting and be sure that there are no that our network isn't actually compromised. For example, when we talked earlier about backups, so when we restore our data, we should be sure that uh, let's say attackers aren't present in our network anymore. So because if they are, they will just compromise our system again. So threat hunting is also really important. So I would say that SET security really focuses on providing uh, expertise in the field of cybersecurity. And if we look at recent attacks, so we can see that attackers are focusing at critical infrastructure because that's the area where they can, if we're talking about ransomware, that's the area where they will probably extort big amounts of money. When we what the Sophos report actually found out is that attacks are now there are more attacks which are trying to extort more money. So attacks are going for the big targets. They're trying to do less and take more money. Let's put it that way. So critical infrastructure is definitely one of the things that they are focused on, and we have expertise for OT networks and other critical infrastructure, and we can help companies to establish appropriate cybersecurity and actually security um, measures which would help them to mitigate those threats. Of course, we are doing pen testing, cybersecurity assessments, but as for what is setting us apart, I would say that expertise in that area can set us apart. Also, SECIT is completely vendor neutral. So when we are doing some assessments and we are giving advices to companies which tools they can implement. They can implement any tool that they want. We can help them in order to choose what tool actually suits best to them and make some case studies. That is something that we do and see what is most appropriate for them.
Could you share a bit about SECIT Security's unique methodology for evaluating and improving information system security?
Without going too much into details, I would say that our methodology is based on best practices, that's for sure. And also, it's combined with real decades of experience from different areas of people who are working here at SETI Security. So that combination provides us with a unique insight which we can then offer companies and make, let's say, tailored recommendations and tailored recommendations for their systems. As each year, they can definitely expect the best conference in this region, that's for sure. So what we try to do at that conference, we mostly aim uh, to make people connect. That's something that we aim to do, and we are organizing it as each year. This year also a networking dinner. That's a little bit less formal event where cybersecurity professionals can meet, talk. There's drinks, there is food, and you're more relaxed in that atmosphere. You can connect and meet other people. So it's also unique conference because it is also vendor free. That's one of its kind in this. Let's say Serbia. I'm not sure for the region, but in Serbia definitely, it's vendor free. So people from all organizations can come here. Different banks um, and other industries can come and listen and see presentations for and learn something new actually and to connect with people.